Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining the ACA Small Business Bootcamp and Resource Collective for this Thursday, April 15th. We're excited to have everybody with us. I'm Robert Theobald, Small Business Ombudsman and Vice President of Small Business Services at the Arizona Commerce Authority. As we like to do, as we kick these off, we want to start by thanking all of our community partners. We could not do these boot camps without our community partners. Their time, their effort, their expertise is incredibly important, and it helps small businesses throughout the state. As many of you know, the Small Business Bootcamp was created to help prepare and support small businesses work through the COVID crisis and return stronger than ever. It was originally a 6-week program. As we all know, COVID was supposed to be only 6 weeks, 6 weeks long, and it's lasted much longer, but we've continued this because it's been working great to provide support to small businesses. It is a statewide initiative supported by all our community partners. And besides the boot camp, we do have a resource collective as part of it, which we'll talk about here in a moment. So the Small Business Bootcamp and Resource Collective website is a great website to favorite. Add your favorite bar on the top of your web browser. There's a lot of great information you can find on this page. First, at the top of the page, you'll find the upcoming or the current week sessions, and you'll also be able to find the upcoming sessions that we have set up. In the middle of the page, you'll find the link to the Resource Collective, but the most valuable piece is at the bottom of the web page. You will find our archive. In the archive, we have recorded, well, one of the things we do is we record all of our sessions, and we post them in the archive. And so in the archive, you'll find over 140 recorded sessions. And these sessions are by our experts. And so our community partners have provided their time, and it's helped to create a content library for small businesses that is pretty impressive. Again, 140 different sessions. We cover all different topics from HR, financial planning, financial understanding, lending, operations, marketing, starting your business, exiting your business. We've covered a tremendous number of topics, and all those are available to you to watch at any time at no cost. So that resource is available for all small businesses. On the Resource Collective side of things, we have our tools and resources brought to us by our community partners. They've shared a lot of great information, and we've linked a number of these resources on the Resource Collective. This is just a sample list of some of those guides and resources that are available through the Resource Collective. And it touches all different industries: restaurants, barbershops and cosmetologists, construction, manufacturing, retail, etc. So a lot of great information on the Resource Collective. Additionally, we have our COVID-19 Arizona Business Resource website that the ACA has put together, and you can find business guidance on here, funding information, financial information. Every time there's a new grant that comes out or a new program updates, we include those on that website so you can have the most up-to-date information. Additionally, the Arizona Commerce Authority has a number of programs available to support small businesses. Our small business resources can help you work with the SBA or work with the SBDCs or SCORE or other no-cost business support programs. We can help connect you to local banking contacts for lending. Our workforce division also works with businesses looking to hire. If you're looking to grow your business in 2021 and looking to hire staff, they have programs to help with that. They also have some programs to help with upskilling your employees and growing their knowledge. And then our Arizona Manufacturing Extension Partnership has a number of great programs to help support small to medium-sized manufacturers in Arizona and help them grow and meet their goals. Additionally, a lot of people are looking to start their own business and don't know where to start or how to start. And our small business checklist is the great first place to go to look at starting your own business. On this checklist program, it's an online interactive program that's going to help you identify the licensing, registration, compliance needs of starting your business at the local, state, and federal levels, and help guide you through that process. Then the final website I want to mention is the state's COVID-19 information and resource page, arizonatogether.org. You can find a lot of great information on that website as well. So with that, I want to transfer into some updates. So the IRS recently announced a temporary expense deductions for food and beverage. These links we will share in the chat, so you don't have to try to write them down real fast. We'll have them available for you in the chat. That's a great publication you want to take a look at, as it allows businesses to deduct some of their food and beverage expenses that they may have during the year. Also, I've included a great document that I found on the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. It's got some great information that shares the what we currently know about this program. As more information comes out, the SBA will post that and update stuff, but it's a great document to show what we know now. Just a reminder that the PPP Extension Act extended the PPP loans up to May 31st. So if you're looking for a first draw or a second draw loan, that may still be an option for you. You have a little bit more time to get that information in. And then just a reminder that we are still in the Startup Together AZ April time period with a lot of startup programs and webinars and panels going on right now. So check those out at startuptogetheraz.com. With that, we want to look at some of our upcoming sessions over the next 2 weeks. So next Tuesday, we've got a great marketing session with Mike Jones of Resound Creative on marketing your authentic brand story. He does a great job on helping businesses identify how to identify your own brand and market that. And then on Thursday, we'll have a great session on how to up your marketing to see results with Giselle Aguiar, who does a lot of social media marketing training for SCORE. The following Tuesday, April 27th, we've got Advertising 101 with Craig Boston from Northland Pioneer College Small Business Development Center. And then we've got a really exciting one. I'm really interested in this one myself, with Amber Cordoba of Prestamos. Many of you know her. She's been on with us many times doing PPP stuff, but this one is a little bit different. It's how to take your accounting online. And she's going to touch on 4 different online bookkeeping software programs that might help fit your business needs and to make sure your accounting processes are working well. So with that, we're going to jump to today's session. We want to hand it over to Robin Reed. He's the president and CEO of Black Chamber Arizona, also the founder of Mfluent and a number of other businesses. Robin is a very knowledgeable individual. We are excited to have him with us today. He's been with us before and does a great job, so we're excited to have him back. So Robin, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen and turn the time over to you.
Great, thanks, Robert. I appreciate it. Let's get going. All right, thanks. I took a look at some of the participants and just wanted to say hello. I got a number of friends and colleagues that are already logged in. And then real quick, I'm excited about I think it's maybe session 142, Robert, on taking your bookkeeping online. That's going to be really valuable. I touch on it in one of the seminars I do, not in this one, but the importance of building your team and having a good bookkeeping system is part of that process. Okay, so I'm going to get started. Can everyone see my screen? Robert, you can.
Yep, looks good.
Fantastic. Okay, so we're talking about organizing your business for success in 2021. What we've seen is that the pandemic has impacted the workforce and has caused many people to start businesses out of necessity. And often when we do things out of necessity, we run out and we get an LLC or we get a website or those things, but we really don't follow all of the steps to make sure our business is set up properly. So I'm going to walk you through, there's about 10 or 11 steps in the state of Arizona for setting up a business properly. I'm going to walk you through those steps and then share with you some stories of when it's maybe not gone right for people because they skipped a step on purpose or missed a step out of a lack of knowledge of what the process might be. So here's some of the things that you can expect. We're looking to help you get your ducks in a row. That's really the bottom line. We're gonna show you how to, in future series, we'll show you how to scale your business, how to collect and maintain documentation that you're gonna need on an ongoing basis. And I realized for some of you, this might seem basic, but I will also share with you that for some people that are very experienced in business, they've come back to me later and said, I did realize I missed the step, and I'm glad I saw this because I was able to fix it. So let's talk about 3 stages of business. There's starting a business. That's just putting all of your, as I said, ducks in a row. That's getting your paperwork in order. That's having, properly representing a legal business entity. There's doing business. That's the craft. That's, if you're an accountant, that's doing books. If you are in the hair care business, that's cutting hair. That's doing business. And then there's running a business. Running a business is when you're not doing the work of the business itself, but you are running the business overall. That's often where you see a CEO versus a president in some cases. What we're talking about today is starting a business. So I'm going to tell you an interesting story. So this is one of how it can go wrong when you go to start a business and you rush out and think, okay, well, first thing I want to do is get a website. So I had someone contact me, and they were in the midst of a challenge. They had set up a business, we'll call it abccompany.net, but there was already an abccompany.com. And the company that owned the domain abccompany.com also owned the name ABC Company, of course. Well, this particular business owner thought that the differentiation between .net and .com allowed them to move forward with that business name. It did not. And I advised them early in the process, you know what, just back away from this particular fight. It's not one you're going to win. That differentiation isn't sufficient to establish that you are different companies. The amount of money it's going to take for you to even defend yourself is too much. It's much easier to just stop. They'd received a cease and desist. They end up investing tens of thousands of dollars in a legal suit that they ultimately lost. And it was something as simple as this. And you'll see how, when I walk you through the process that I do, you'll understand how this could have been avoided. Another one is there was a business that was looking for a line of credit. They wanted $50,000. They approached me and said, can you help us? I had a strong connection, ironically, at the bank where they banked. I knew someone in senior leadership at the bank and walked them through. And they said, hey, this is great. We actually know this company. We're very excited to help them in tracking their account. We see that they continue to grow their balance. Their expenses appear to be in control, and it looks like their revenue is growing. We'd love to talk to them. I put the banker and the business owner in touch. About 4 days later, I get a call from the business owner, and the business owner says, hey, see, I told you it was a minority owned business. He said, I told you minority owned businesses don't have access to capital. I know my business makes money. I know I can pay back the loan. And I still didn't get it. So they thought it was some sort of disparity relative to race. So I said that, didn't make sense. Called the banker. Banker said, I can't talk to you about the account without written permission from the account owner. So called the owner back. He gave me that permission. The banker said, here's the deal. We require 2 years tax returns, an income statement, and a balance sheet, and then an idea of where the funds will be spent. They said he walked in the door with a green ledger book and a bunch of handwritten numbers in. He said, we don't doubt that the numbers were accurate, but that's not what we asked for. We have very simple protocols for what we look for to approve a loan for $50,000. The banker said we recommended to him that he go spend $5,000 with a CPA, get his tax returns prepared in a way that would represent his business accurately, and then come back, and we'd be happy to help him. And then he said, okay, Robin, and off the record, If he just does that, we're ready to approve him for a $500,000 line of credit because his business is solid. We believe the numbers are there, but remember, our loans, like others, get underwritten, and you've got to have a properly documented file. So ultimately, the business owner, I got back to him with that information. He did that, went back, ended up with a line of credit. He didn't want the whole 500,000. He's very conservative, but he went back and he got a $100,000 line of credit. That has to do with having your ducks in a row. That's why I think that online bookkeeping seminar or boot camp is going to be so valuable, because it lets you know that sometimes it's just a matter of being prepared for what you're going to do. So those are just a couple of cases of when you don't do it right, how much it can actually cost you. So step one in getting a business started, this is kind of what you're doing. This is that fun, creative time. So you think of a business name. My first suggestion is Google it. Make sure that it is not already taken. You'd be surprised at how often a business name already exists either in your local area or on a national basis. So you want to make sure that that name isn't already taken. And if there's a similar name, you want to make sure that there's not going to be potential confusion with the name of your business and or the services provided by your business. Johnny's haircutting and John's haircutting are very similar. You may not want to have that confusion. So I always suggest step one, and it's free. Google it. Look at all the different ideas you might have, including, trade names and phrases, slogans, and that sort of thing. It's very important that you take that first step. So once you've identified globally, if you will, that the name is available for use, then you want to visit the Arizona Corporations Commission website. You want to check for name availability, because obviously, as a point of clarification, someone, excuse me, someone might not own the name externally, but someone might own the name and the rights to the name within Arizona, within the state of Arizona. There are many businesses where the name is secured, but maybe they haven't developed a website yet, or they've chosen not to, but they want to secure that name. And the state of Arizona allows you to secure a name for a period of time before you're either required to use it or relinquish it. So I encourage you, please go to the Arizona Corporations Commission's website and make sure that name is available. Again, no cost for that. And you'll see I'm taking you down a road of getting as much done and making as much forward progress as possible before you incur expense, because there's a key stage where if you do it in the wrong order, you could incur an expense and then realize you just lost that money because you didn't double check everything you were supposed to. Choosing an entity type. This is always a great time to consult with a professional in that area. My recommendation is talk to a certified public accountant, talk to an attorney that specializes in businesses. Now, you can choose this on your own. You can do your own research. I'm a huge fan of building a team around me and having those teams be expert in their particular field. But you can choose a corporation or a nonprofit or a limited liability company, often known as an LLC. What I want people to know, though, is in Arizona, you're just saying if you are a for-profit or a nonprofit corporation. S Corp, C Corp, the 501 designation, so whether it's a 501c3, 4, 6, or other, those are federal tax designations. So you won't apply for those locally, you apply for those federally. So that's something to keep in mind, is what type of entity. And there are benefits and responsibilities that go with each of those. So that's why I recommend making sure that you talk to a professional about that. Okay, we're going to do a real quick pop quiz because this is important. So and all I want you to do is throw into the chat for these three. What is the name for each of these symbols? And I'm going to give it about 30 seconds, shouldn't take longer than that. And just type in the chat. I'll see some of the chats, and I'm just going to jump to the next one anyway after about 30 seconds. But if you can just put that in there, and then I'll explain to you the relevance of these three symbols. Good. I like seeing the chat fill up. Okay, so that's about 30 seconds. So the C with the circle around it, that's copyright. For those of you that put copyright in the chat, that's a copyright that protects creative or intellectual work. So you might copyright a piece of art. You might copyright music. I'll give you a great example. Years ago, for those of you that are familiar with the guitarist Carlos Santana, Carlos Santana has a very unique sound to his music. And years ago, this might have been 15, maybe 20 years ago, Coca-Cola used a very, very similar, if not identical sound to promote one of its products, but Carlos Santana was not the featured artist. Carlos Santana sued Coca-Cola. They went to trial. They had people basically say, they played music and had said, who is this? And I think 100% of the people said it was Carlos Santana. Long story short, he won the lawsuit and ultimately identified that you can copyright even a sound, a unique way of playing music. So that's going to be on the creative intellectual side. TM, that's going to just mean it's a trademark. It can be used by any person or business to indicate that a particular word, phrase, logo is associated with your business entity. And then there is the R with the circle around it, and that's a registered trademark. This person has gone through some extra efforts to register the trademark. It can only be used in case of registered trademark and by the owner or the licensee. So you want to check to see if these are in existence anytime you're looking up your name or you're looking up a product. Make sure that they don't have one of these symbols, because if so, you might find that you have extra work to do if you're going to try to use that as well. So far what we've done is we've covered several of the things that you can do for free. Now we're getting into the where you incur cost. So now you want to be on the Arizona Corporations Commission website, and you want to secure your name and or form your business entity. You can do those two things separately. I want to make sure you're clear. You can go to the Arizona Corporations Commission's website and you can secure your business name and basically keep someone else from getting it right away, but you're not required in that same session to go all the way through and form your business entity. In fact, I believe they give you a name reservation for about 4 months, 120 days, and you can hold that name. So keep that in mind. I've done that before where I have a great idea for a business name, but I haven't really determined if I'm going to take it all the way through, but I'll go secure the name in case that I do. And so, I think for that, there might be a $10 fee for that. So again, this isn't the process in which you've now set up your business, but you at least have secured the name. Now, here's the next step, and these can be done in different orders. But once you've secured that trade name, then it might be a good time to go purchase your domain name. So if you want to be, XYZ company, and so you secured in the Arizona Corporation Commission that you can be the lawful owner of the business name XYZ company, then you want to go and look for a domain name, www.xyzcorp, XYZ, companies, whatever it might be. That's when you want to go do that, because it's a little bit greater cost to secure a domain name than it is to secure your business entity name in the state of Arizona. So as I said, now the costs begin to increase. You want to make sure that's available, because of course you want as little confusion as possible when establishing your business. Ideally, you want your website to sound a whole lot like the name of your business, because often people hear about your business and immediately they want to find out if you have a website. So I'm going to tell you another really quick story. This one happened recently. I was working with another organization. I had given them a similar presentation to this one, and they just watched it. It had been recorded and they watched it. And we did a weekend kind of small business fast start program. And when we got on the call, one of the business owners said, "I really wish I had seen your video, beforehand, because we got our trade name, we went out to, before we started our business, we got our trade name, then we started our business, then we went to go get our domain name. And what we realized was that somebody else already owned the domain name. And so now we had to come up with we had ordered business cards, they'd done a lot of other expenses. They said, and the toughest part was now we had to create a domain name that wasn't like our business, which is just means it was something new. We had to explain to people, and we didn't want to have to do it because the business name was incredibly simple. I mean, it was a one word, easy, which again increases the likelihood that somebody might already own that domain name. So this is why you want to figure that out before you start ordering business cards, before you set up your business entity with the Arizona Corporations Commission. You want to make sure you've covered these steps, because that takes you to this part. Now you've done that. You've secured your name with the Arizona Corporations Commission. You've secured and purchased the domain name, and now it's time to file with the Arizona Corporations Commission. And this is where you're going to complete the entire process. You're going to walk through all the paperwork, and you're going to supply the appropriate paperwork for the business entity that you have chosen. So if it's an LLC, it's going to be your articles of organization. And if it's a C Corp or an S Corp, there's different documentation. That's why it's important to have decided prior to that which entity you want to form your business under. So you've selected your business name with the Arizona Corporation Commission. Went well. You've secured your domain name. So now your business and your web name are the same or similar, or they're at least the way you want them. And now you filed with the Arizona Corporations Commission. So here's my question. You've done these things, you paid the fee, and I'm sorry, I don't recall what the current fee is with the Arizona Corporation Commission, but pay attention. Understand that you have two choices when you submit for your organization. You can pay a fee to have it expedited, or you can avoid the fee and it might just take a little bit longer. That's your choice, has to do with your time frame, but keep that in mind. But here's a quick question. Again, I'll give you about 30 seconds. So we've talked about 6 steps so far. If you've completed these 6 steps, you got your trade name, you know that you're not infringing on anyone else's trademark or copyright, you've got your business name, you got your website, and now you've submitted all your paperwork for your business entity. Here's my question. Are you now a recognized lawful business in the state of Arizona? This one's quicker, so I'll give you about 10 more seconds. Okay, so the answer to the question is no, you are not. The formation paperwork must be examined and approved by the Arizona Corporation Commission and its staff. It could be rejected for the simplest of reasons. It could be if you hand wrote it versus did it online, they may not be able to read something. It could be truly any number of reasons. You may have not provided an important piece of data that they need. So until that happens, you actually are not you're not able to lawfully operate your business in the state of Arizona. So please keep that in mind. What you're waiting for is that approval letter to come back and show that you are allowed to do business. And that takes us here. So even then, are you done? Maybe, but maybe not. Because depending on the type of entity that you are, or the type of business that you are, you might have additional responsibilities. If you have a retail business, you might need to go make sure that you are authorized to collect sales tax and pay it. So you want to make sure that you have contacted the Arizona Department of Revenue. If you're not absolutely certain, call them anyway. If you're absolutely certain that you do need to do it, then of course take that step. But if you're not absolutely certain that given your business entity type, you're not required to collect, excuse me, and pay sales tax, just reach out to them. You can reach out to them on the website, you can call, but these are simple things that if missed, can be very expensive, because remember, kind of the old adage, ignorance of the law is no excuse. The fact that you didn't know doesn't change your responsibility. So if you're responsible for collecting and paying sales tax, and you don't even go through the process of getting a tax ID, getting your reseller's permit and all the other things, it doesn't matter. If and when you get audited, you're going to be responsible for that, plus any penalties. So why not just make the free phone call? Why not just make the free online, request for information to make sure you are clear on whether or not you owe taxes? Because let me tell you, now this story is a tough one for me, and I'm going to share another one that I didn't put in the deck, but I'll explain to you what it looks like when it goes horribly wrong. This was about a year ago. I was contacted on a Friday afternoon, and the phone call went something like this. I said, hello. The person said, hey, I just started my company and I was looking for $50,000, to get it going. Okay. Now, I just started my company is a pretty broad term. So I always ask a lot of questions. So the first question was, what kind of business is it? It's a catering business. I said, okay. Do you have catering experience? Yes, I do. I'm cooking food now. Okay. So we start walking through the process. And I said, tell me a little bit about your business now. He said, well, just getting it started. So right now I still have my day job. I work at the airport. So that's City of Phoenix that owns the airport. So I know that he is now a city employee. So I work at the City of Phoenix. And I said, so when are you doing catering? He goes, well, it's not really catering right now. I am, when somebody wants food or something, I'll cook it at home, put it in a brown bag, hand them the brown bag, they hand me a little bit of money. Okay, I think for most of us, we can agree that's actually not catering. But we go on to, and I said, okay, so tell me about your ideas for your catering business. And he says, well, I want to be able to do 100 plates a day. So that's a very aggressive pursuit. I will explain to you that when we were having live events, so that must have been over a year ago, when we're having live events, I, by nature of my role as a community leader, I was often invited to breakfasts, lunches, dinners, etc. And so I would go to these events, and my organization has also hosted events like this. So I know how difficult it is to put together an event, let alone have one every day. So I said, well, I think that's a bit aggressive in terms of what you believe the business can do in a short period of time. 100 plates a day that means you got to have a full-time sales staff, a full-time cooking crew, a full-time wait staff, full-time marketing. I said, that takes you to a good-sized company immediately. And I don't know that there are enough events in Arizona for you to do 100 plates a day. But what's the money for? Well, I need to get plates and things. So he didn't have the infrastructure of the business that he wanted. I said, well, really, I said, keeping in mind, did you account for 100 plates or did you account for 300? He said, well, I don't need 300. And I explained, actually, you do. Because if on Monday you give an event, you used 100 plates, but by the time those 100 plates got back to some place where they could be cleaned and organized and boxed, you went out the next day, according to his strategy. You went out the next day and delivered another event. So you had 100 in-house, 100 going out, but we know that in those events, your 100% of your product doesn't come back every single time. Somebody drops or loses a fork, a plate, something breaks, the glass breaks. So you've got to have almost a whole replacement set. So you really need 300. Was that accounted for in your process? And he said, no, but I can make it work. So long story short, we get through the whole thing, and he says, and I said, okay, so when did you start your business? Because I'm starting to get a sense that he's just not really prepared. And we talked about, the fact that he works for the city. We talked about the fact that he was selling food at his place of employment. And we clearly he means he's preparing it somewhere. So I told him, first and foremost, let's understand that right now you're operating unlawfully. I can guarantee you that you are in violation of your employment agreement with the city of Phoenix. I can guarantee you that you are in violation of city, county, and state ordinance selling food without a license to sell food, which then adds on to it what we were talking about, you do have to charge sales tax on food items. So we also know that he wasn't paying sales tax on those items he was selling unlawfully. And then we know that if he was cooking food at his home and that there was never any health department verification of his ability to do that and meet code in terms of the health department, he was violating that. So I explained. So what you've done is you've started a business and you've basically broken 4 laws or rules. That's not a good place to start from when you're asking for any entity to loan you money, because it sounds like you don't care about the legal process of starting and operating a business. And I said, so tell me, how long have you been doing this? Because now I'm hoping to maybe help him rein some of this in and get it under control. And I said, so tell me, how long have you been in business? He said, well, I told you, I just started my company. And I said, I don't know what that means. Please give me a time frame. And he said, well, like just now, he said, I'm in the parking lot of the Arizona Corporations Commission, and I just finished submitting my application. So you can understand how different people can think different things about when they are in business or not. So beyond the fact that he hadn't even been approved as an LLC yet, he hadn't received he wasn't, authorized to collect, charge, or pay sales tax on food items, hadn't contacted the health department. These are all the ways it had gone wrong. And yet this person actually thought they were not only a viable business at the time, but they also thought that they were then worthy of a $50,000 loan. So that's why we go through these steps, because we understand that everybody's knowledge base is not the same. And so we try to get as much of this information into the hands of as many people as possible. It's why I really am so excited about and privileged to participate in Arizona Commerce Authority's Business Bootcamp series, because it's over and over. They're really reinforcing all of these tools for our small business owners so that they don't make mistakes like the one I just shared with you. Let's remember too, if you're a business, you could be responsible for city or county taxes and licensing. You can go to arizonacommerce.com and Commerce Authority will help you with that. So please make sure that you are doing that. Another step, and amazing how many people actually still miss this, but if you want to be a business entity and you want to have the protections of that business, it might be a good idea to get a federal employee identification number or tax identification number. This separates your business entity from your personal self. It's also what's required in order for you to open a business bank account. So when you are operating your business out of a personal bank account with a business name, the way the business world sees it is that is a personal bank account. That is not a business bank account, even if you're driving all your business revenue through that account. It is a bookkeeping nightmare, it's an accounting nightmare, and it is a tax nightmare. So my strong suggestion is talk to a tax professional, have them explain to you what the values and benefits are to having an employer ID number or a tax ID number that you can now open a business bank account with. And then you want to open a business bank account. You can get an EIN or a TIN very, very easy by literally you just go online and I think it's real time. You can, by the time you're finished, I think it gets emailed back to you. And in fact, I know it is because someone did it last weekend online and opened a business bank account in under an hour, start to finish. So they went online, got their EIN, got their paperwork, walked in the door to the bank on a Saturday, opened their bank account, and we're back home in under an hour. So I know it can be done very quickly. So you're going to make sure you do that. I'm going to add this little bit. It wasn't in my slide deck, but I'm going to add this little bit because it's so important. When you are starting as a business, having your team in place is so incredibly valuable. For me, a team when I start a business is, do I have a good financial person, whether that is a bookkeeper or a CPA? I tend to have both, but that's because I have more than one business and there's some nuances to that. An attorney, again, you don't have to keep them on retainer. Have somebody you can call that can maybe just answer a question for you or something, but just, people that can help you avoid things that can cost you a lot of money. And the third, and this is so important, when you open your business bank account, make sure you get an introduction to a business banker. They will typically will assign that person, and that will be your business banker. Build your relationship with that individual. It is vital. Business bankers really are on your team. They will work with you because year 3, year 4, as you've now shown you're revenue positive and you've shown profitability, you might need funding. You might need a business credit card. You might need a line of credit. You might just need straight funding because you want to grow your business. You want to buy more equipment, or if you have something involving vehicles, you might want to buy another vehicle and you want to get financing for that. Telling your banker your plans ahead of time allows them to help you prepare your business. So having that relationship is equally, if not far more important than just having a business bank account. Also remember that if you do anything business to business, if you're a B2B industry, remember your business banker knows all the other businesses that come into that particular bank branch at least, and probably has access to all of those within that bank's chain or organization. So they might end up being a great referral source as well. So I always really strongly recommend the importance of having a business bank account and building a relationship with a business banker. So here's another quick story. I was doing a series on, this was back in 2019. I was doing a series on access to capital. It was a great series. It was, gosh, about 5 months worth of ongoing content. And we got to the section of business banking. And I guess I want to say my program was being underwritten by a regional commercial bank that has offices throughout the country. At each one of our sessions, we had a minimum of 5 commercial bankers who were answering questions in real time, honestly, to people so they understood. And we got to the point, and I talked about the importance of having a business bank account. And the banker, who was vice president of the bank, by the way, amazing person, said, well, I don't even, who doesn't have a business bank account? Everybody knows you have to have a business bank account. And I said, I think you'd be surprised. I think you would really be honestly surprised and shocked at the number of people that operate a business out of their personal bank account, which means it's really not a business. And she said, gosh, I don't know. I don't think I know anybody that does that. Fast forward to the next week. We're at the next session. We're getting ready to start. She walks up to the front of the room and says, I need to share something. She said, I was getting my hair done over the weekend, and I was sharing with the person doing my hair this story we had about, how incredulous it was to me that that businesses operate without a business bank account, that people were operating out of a personal bank account. And she said, this has been the person doing my hair for years, quite a while. And she said, the person looked at me and said, well, I don't have a business bank account. She said, I just do this out in an account in my personal name. And the commercial banker was shocked. So it lets you know, you never know, but it also turned into a situation where she was able to help this person. And there's a lot of opportunities and legal tax benefits that come when you can itemize deductions and that sort of thing that do not transfer over if you're running a business out of your personal account. So again, another reason why that's important. Real quick, I'm going to touch on PPP loans. I know that Commerce Authority has done a great job of educating our small businesses about opportunities and processes relative to the Payroll Protection Program. But I'll touch on this very quickly. Our organization, the Black Chamber of Arizona, has helped several small businesses gain well over $1 million in PPP funding between the first and the second tranche of loans. But I will tell you, there's probably many millions that we were not able to help people with because of something so outrageously basic. Number one, I truly believe, this personal opinion, but I think the PPP loan is the easiest loan a business will ever have access to in its lifetime. But as I talk to bankers, accountants, attorneys, one universal reason I was getting for why businesses were not getting approved for this very easy loan is they weren't setting up their business properly. So again, I'm going to come back to why it's going to be so important for you to participate in this, in the bookkeeping session, digital bookkeeping session number 142, because so many loans were declined because the business owner didn't have 2 years tax returns at their fingertips. They didn't have an income statement at their fingertips. They didn't have a balance sheet at their fingertips, and they didn't have a payroll register at their fingertips. And when you've set up a proper bookkeeping and accounting system, each of these should be a couple of keystrokes away. So imagine the businesses that didn't even get funding because the process of setting this up might have cost them more money because of how far back they would need to go. It may have cost them more money than they would have qualified for in loans to do that. And how many of those businesses then didn't survive because that $5,000, $10,000 wasn't made available to them for them to invest in their business to sustain them through some of the tough times while they could shift their strategy. So that's why it's so important when you set up your business, set it up for success. That's why we call this preparing your business for success. Set your business up to succeed, not just to operate. That's incredibly important. So as I'm coming toward the end, I want you to remember a few things. Record keeping. So here are the things that you always want to have available. You want to know what your EIN number is. I keep it in a number of digital apps that I can get to via my phone. You want to have a W-9. W-9 allows third parties to pay you and get the appropriate tax recognition for that payment. It's also a way of knowing that you are a valid vendor of theirs. So be able to get to your W-9, your banking information. You want to know, and obviously it may go without saying, but I think as we've proven, we should just always say it. But make sure this is always information that is secure. Don't keep it in the note portion of your phone that doesn't have a security protocol connected to it, but make sure you have it. But your banking information, that's going to be not just your account number, but your routing number, because so often that's how people want to pay you, and you want to have that information readily available. And for me, I've always made a habit of creating both a digital and a hard copy binder of all of this information, because crazy things happen. House fires, flood, just simple loss of things. You move and you don't know where you place that hard copy binder. So having a digital binder is also a good idea. But these are things that you will be asked for often as a business owner. So better to have them available, because sometimes it's how you get a quicker response. A real simple explanation is, as you deal with companies that might have expense cycles. So, hey, companies pay their bills between the 1st and the 3rd of the month, and you're one of the bills they need to pay, but they need your W-9. Well, if it's the 3rd and you have your W-9 with you on the 3rd, you made it into the expense cycle and you get paid. But if you don't, because you got to go back to your office to find it, and so you don't get it to them till the 4th, now you've missed 30 days because you don't get paid until their next expense cycle. So again, why it's so very important to have this information at your fingertips. So here's the challenge for everybody, and then we'll go into Q&A. But make sure you completed all 10 of these steps. I believe I've shared this whole deck with Arizona Commerce Authority. So subject to whatever their protocols are, I'm sure they'll share this with you. But make sure you completed all of these steps for setting up your business, because I think many of you will find you got to a certain point, but then you didn't do the extra little steps. And so I would strongly recommend, please make sure that you followed all of the necessary steps to start and operate a business lawfully in the state of Arizona. Take a minute, research whether copywriting or trademarking or getting a registered trademark for your business or your product or your intellectual property is a good idea. Just check and see, because you would be surprised how easy it is for someone else to come in and do that underneath you. And now you're fighting for a name that you already own, or you're fighting for a process or some intellectual property that you might already own. And then lastly, take the time to create both a digital and a hard copy binder for your business documents, so that they are readily available, especially if you work with business partners or your team, your accountant, your bookkeeper, your attorney. It might be good for you to have those and have them just hold a copy of them digitally as well. So that's my presentation. I am excited to answer any questions you might have. I'll look right in the Q&A and see what I see. If a company registered, okay, so if a company registered in Nevada for tax purposes, I know that one must also register in Arizona as a foreign business. What and when must the company do that? So I'm a very honest person. I don't have the direct answer to that question. That might be a great Commerce Authority question for them to answer, but I don't have the answer to that question.
We'd recommend doing it right away. If you're doing business in Arizona, you should be registered as a foreign entity if your company is registered in another state.
There you go.
So yeah, Robin, great presentation. Everybody on the call, please ask in the Q&A box your questions for starting a business successfully. You know, we have a little bit of time left to take advantage of Robin's knowledge and expertise. So please share those questions with us. One of the things I liked, Robin, that you mentioned early on was talking about the business that went into the bank and didn't get funded. And you had mentioned this to me. The first time I met you, a couple of years ago, we were talking and you talked about the language of bank and understanding the language of bank. And I think that's so critical, and having that team to help you understand what you need to have, when you need to have it. If you're going in for funding and they say bring it in on Friday, that doesn't mean Monday, it means Friday. And all those little things are stuff that can keep you from getting the loan that you're looking for, even though your numbers may be good. But you got to do those things that the banks want you to do.
Yeah, Robert, that's a great point. And thank you for reminding me of exactly that. It's I'm gonna tell you. So Robert alluded to a conversation that he and I had years ago, and I've told this story several times. But I went to another banker in similar situation, and someone didn't get a loan, and I asked why not, and they said, "Well, here's the deal. When we ask for 10 documents on the 5th of the month, or 10 documents by Monday, and you give us 7 documents the following Friday, that's a reflection. We think, well, if you're not committed enough to follow the steps it takes to get approved, we wonder, are you committed enough then when it's time to make that payment every month?" The other thing to remember is when you're dealing in particular with a commercial bank, remember, banks aren't loaning you the bank's money. Banks are loaning you other people's money. They have a responsibility relative to that money. So here's a real quick one that everyone should remember. Banks have a formula on which they loan. So for example, many banks, it's a 1.25 multiple. If you want a $125,000 loan from your bank, you got to be able to prove via financial documents that your business has profit of $100,000. And then they will loan you 125% of that. So that means when you ask for the money, you have to prove the ability to repay the amount of money you're asking for. They're not investing in your idea. They're actually investing against your cash flow. So if you are taking all your tax benefits and reporting a loss, the bank sees the loss and they can't see where they're going to be able to get their funds paid back to them. So please make sure, again, this is where the relationship with your commercial banker is critical. If you know, hey, I'm growing. I think in a couple of years, I might be ready to expand. Tell your banker that today. They will start talking to you about what you're going to need from a financial standpoint. And that's when you now work with your bookkeeper. You can tell your bookkeeper, again, someone else on your team, hey, I think right now our plan is that in a couple of years, we might need a $50,000, $100,000, $500,000 line of credit. Tell that to your bookkeeper. Your bookkeeper will then know we've got to make sure that your books and records make sure that we show honest and accurate profit for the business so that we can qualify. So again, so important to have your team. Let's see, we've got another one. I have a rental business, but now I'm going into a brick and mortar in another city. Should we get another business license or another LLC? Again, that might be better for Commerce Authority. I'll tell you based on my experience, if it's the same business, then not necessarily. If you're operating under the same business name and you simply have a new location, obviously always make sure you are aware of what the tax responsibilities are for the city that you're in. They are not the same. As you might be fully aware, sales tax in Scottsdale, Arizona is not the same as sales tax in Phoenix, Arizona, and the process is different. So you don't want to, let's say your one business is out of Scottsdale. Well, you're responsible for 1% of sales tax, but if you move to Tempe or Phoenix, it might be something different. So yes, make sure you understand that, but I don't know that you necessarily need to create another LLC. No.
Yeah, with that, you may not need to create an LLC, but you will need to check on the city about a business license. If you're in Mesa, you don't have to get it. There's no business license for the city of Mesa. But if you move to, you're going to open your brick and mortar in Phoenix, then you have to get a business license for the city of Phoenix.
Okay.
And that's where our small business checklist can help you know what business licenses you need for the different cities around the state.
Great. And then Danita Jackson, are we able to connect with the Black Chamber for mentorship? So simple answer to that question, yes, absolutely. It's one of the things we love to do. Also, besides what's listed on the website, what are the benefits of joining the chamber? Because they are not the same for everyone, everyone won't see the same thing as a benefit. My contact information is on the slide. I would encourage you, shoot me a quick email and I will be able to share with you the things that might be relevant for your specific type of business. For a great example is there's a new barbershop training program that opened here in Phoenix. They're expanding. With them, the benefit they received and where they saw benefit was A, our presence at their grand opening, and B, we helped them get some broader news coverage on what they do. However, we have a member that is a very successful engineering firm, and with them, we help them get into doors that they might not have otherwise been able to get to. We use our relationships to help them. So we're more on how do we help you grow your business. What we are not, maybe if this is important to anyone, what we are not is a networking organization. We have found that those organizations just aren't lasting because if you got 50 people in a networking group, it tends to be 49 people trying to sell something to one person and one person trying to sell to 49 people. And that's not networking, that's prospecting. And it's why we've seen so many of them start and then kind of falter a little bit. So we really work on giving you the really incredible, valuable tools to help you grow your business. It's things like this boot camp. It's making sure we're getting you the information that you can use to grow and develop your business. But Danita, more than happy to speak to you directly and help you determine if there's value for you. That is a separate thing from mentoring, by the way. If you believe that we can be of assistance and value to you and you'd like mentoring, but you haven't yet determined what the value is of membership, that's okay. We would still mentor you. Let's see. Oh, Kevin Connors. I'm recently hired SBDC counselor in Pinal County. Thank you for that. And with a number of Black business owners just starting out. In addition to advising them to look into joining the organization, are there grants available, especially for Black-owned businesses? I've been asked by every owner and haven't found a real solid answer. So here's why. Yes, grants are available, but and again, this is me being very, very straightforward. If you need grants to just get your business off the ground, I would recommend you do a little more of the groundwork, a little more of the legwork, have some skin in the game. What I have seen is that when your entire business is started with other people's money, that commitment to it is a little bit different when you don't have anything of your own at stake. So yes, there are grants out there, but very rarely is the grant just because of someone's race or gender. There's got to be some other business related aspect to it. So I would also say, let's get to the root of what the money is being used for. Everyone shouldn't be starting a business when they actually start their business. Some really should have a little more capital set aside. We need to know, is it a primary income stream? Is it a side hustle? But no, I don't know of grants on a consistent basis that are just available because the business owner happens to be of a particular race or gender.
And Rob, we got one last question in there. I think it'll be a simple answer.
Sure. What's a good resource to help decide whether to choose a B Corp, C Corp? Again, I'm such a huge fan. I rely on professionals. So please talk to for something as specific as this. I honestly say talk to a CPA or an attorney, not even a bookkeeper, but a CPA or an attorney. Those are the individuals who are going to ask you all the questions to help give you an answer that's going to really be of value to you, because the impact of doing it wrong can be outrageously expensive. So please invest the time in getting that. Build your team, I guess is bottom line. Build a really strong team, have people you can call and ask that question and just make sure they're qualified to provide you that answer.
Excellent, Robin. Thank you for your time. We are right at that mark. We got to wrap up, but this was an amazing session. A lot of great examples that you used on starting businesses, some of the things to avoid, etc. So thank you very much. I want to thank everybody for attending. We want to remind everybody for next Tuesday's session, 9 a.m. You can go to our website to sign up. But with that, we wish everybody to have a very safe and prosperous weekend. And we look forward to seeing you on Tuesday. Once again, Robin, thank you for your time and your expertise. And we will see everybody soon. Thank you.
Thanks again. I appreciate it.